Adams Amendment. Oh, okay.
Yes.
What
All right,
page
colleagues.
was that on?
Good afternoon. I apologize. I know this is supposed to be our day off, but we will be brief. Now, tomorrow might be a different story. Hopefully we'll have no more puppy law mill bills tomorrow. So maybe we'll have more time to discuss this, but I don't want to drain anyone further than the draining we've already received from our good senator. So today we are going to discuss our electricians bill, hopefully be able to move that out today. And we're going to briefly discuss with our council what we have found out with regards to the healthcare workers and what, if anything, we can do for their protections when it comes to working. And again, I will commend my colleagues for the last time we met. Having the individuals from Department of Labor ended up being a very important meeting. So as much as I hate to admit it, Chris, good job, or Seth, whichever.
Seth was the one that, yes.
I apologize. His hair is still distracting me, so I get confused. But I'll say that if there is any more recommendations, again, we have to have this bill out in short order, not this week, but at least by the beginning of next week. I would like to be able, if there's any more recommendations of information that's not dilatory, and I trust you guys to not, slow us down, something's coming out, please let me know, because that was a very, very good meeting, and actually filled in a lot of blanks for all of us.
Well, it was one of my meetings.
Well, of course.
Of course.
You're that man.
Of course it was informative, well-structured.
Of course. So thank you.
So Mr. Chairman, on the electricians bill, I submitted two amendments. One conforms the bill to the Senate, and then the other amendment creates a work group. It was agreed to.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
It was agreed to by the sponsor and advocates. So I'd ask the committee to consider moving the two amendments. One, the Senate conforming amendment, the other creating the work group that's agreed to by the parties.
And if colleagues, we don't mind, we'll do that separately because
okay.
Yeah, so for the First Amendment, is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm sorry, are we voting on the work group amendment?
No, we're not. We're separating them. Two different amendments. We're just, the First Amendment, I apologize, is to conform this bill to the Senate bill.
Okay.
That's correct. That's the First Amendment. Are there any in opposition to accepting the amendment to conform?
No, to conform. No.
Yes, with the Senate bill.
And the difference with the Senate bill is that in the work, there's a requirement that a master electrician or journey electrician be at a work site where electrical services are being provided. And the Senate created an exemption for basically solar panel installations to say that job site requirement doesn't apply to those installations.
Okay.
So I know that it sounded like IBEW may have been opposed to that, but that is what the Senate did.
Well, I don't remember what IBEW's opposition was. Is did we have we dealt with the low voltage issue? Is that an issue that we?
That's addressed in the work group amendment.
Okay, that's the work group amendment. Good boy. All right. So again, we've passed the First Amendment, which is basically conforming it to the Senate bill. The Second Amendment, Laura, could you please explain?
The Second Amendment is, as Delegate Adams said, to establish a work group to study limited energy services that would kind of look at the way in which they should be regulated and report back. The amendment also requires the General Assembly to consider adopting legislation from the work group, and it strikes a requirement that the department adopt regulations in the absence of legislation by the General Assembly. So the work group could not sort of reach agreement on how to treat these low voltage industry participants. And so what the bill as introduced said was, if the General Assembly doesn't establish standards for this industry by a certain date, then the Department of Labor would have to adopt regulations on it. What the amendment does is it changes it and says instead the General Assembly is required to sort of consider adopting legislation from the work group. So it switches it a little bit.
Oh, that makes much more sense. We should be the final arbiter in laws that are passed, not
exactly.
So I'm fine with that. Are there any questions on this amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I move the amendment.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any Democrats that are going to agree with this, or are we going to have a party line fight? I just want to ask legitimately. I'm always nervous when it's Chris and Seth doing all this.
Well, that's why I don't even half the time I won't second for somebody else.
And I appreciate your silence. So, but
I want to remind you,
I'm
last
feeling the
time,
love.
I want to
Mr.
remind
Chairman, I'm at your
I was the
service.
one who reminded everyone that not only Montgomery County, but all the counties were actually on board. Okay.
yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
There you go, Lily.
Thank you. I
Thank
want to
you.
make sure we're not missing anything. So,
Thank you, Lily. Now I got it.
okay. So, all in favor of moving the Chris Adams second amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And Laura, you still have to keep count of the of who in the subcommittee for the bills, right? Not the amendment.
Not the amendments. I don't
Right.
usually, I did for UI just because it was.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not gonna slow you down like that.
meetings.
So, is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
That's right.
Is
What,
there a
move
I
favor?
think Lily made the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
There
Well,
you go.
okay.
Okay, all in favor of moving the bill as amended? Say aye. Oh, I guess,
Aye.
Lord, you have to do a
Aye.
count, or can we do a hand count?
Can you do your hands so I can see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's everybody.
Wow.
Outstanding.
This
That's-
is historic. I just,
Good subcommittee work right there. Okay,
many
so,
years in the making. If this one actually makes it through, maybe I
Ooh,
won't
whoa,
have to have an
right?
electric bill for year
I'm
11.
nervous because adding the second amendment still throws a little bit, because now it's got to go back to the Senate
Mhm.
since it's no longer conforming. So we can always hope.
The Senate is aware of the issue with, in talking with my counterpart, they're aware. It just seemed like the chair over there wanted to move the bill and it wasn't kind of worked out what the amendment would be. So hopefully
Okay.
it's not an issue. I'll make sure I keep in contact with my counterpart.
Okay, because I have no idea how we're going to do the conference committees this year. It's going to be super hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, timing and just because now there's nothing in person. So, all right. So, Laura, besides that bill, I know I have a few bills in the drawer. Are there any other bills besides the chairman's bill that we're dealing with? That's pretty much it, right? I know we have an airport bill coming through, two of them actually. No, one of them that we're going to have to talk about.
I need to ask the chair if that one's going to come through subcommittee again.
I guess
I'm
I
not
could
sure
try
about
that
that.
verification bill, could I?
Which one is that?
The
Well,
3 sick leave bills. I just keep putting them on the agenda because I
You can
don't
put them on the
know.
agenda. They're probably going to go in the drawer. Like I explained before, I don't plan on doing any sick leave bills this year. Yes, Delegate Turner.
could, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair DeMay, could you tell me again what your amendment was on your bill of the health, of the bill that we're gonna put in the drawer?
No.
Second.
Her amendment is on the bill that we're working on. It's on the chairman's bill.
Oh,
brings-
you moved, that's what I want you to tell me. You moved it, your amendment, to the chairman's bill.
Yeah.
And I can just.
Has to understand, it does need to be discussed. I'm not suggesting that the subcommittee is going to adopt it hook, line, sinker, but we do now have a proposal that can be discussed, whether it's today or another time,
Right.
adds sick leave, paid sick leave only in the event of a pandemic.
Well, we're
Now-
not doing sick leave bills.
No, one of the things that I discussed earlier, I don't know how much sick leave you were determining, but I was looking to possibly do like in light of a pandemic, 5 days, which would be 7 days if you count weekends, something of that nature. Worrying, of course, and getting cursed out from my wife about, well, who's going to pay for that? But we had some constraints about it being used, like making sure you use up all your other sick leave first. And if you use one day, you got to use them all because it's going to be for either quarantining or something of that nature. You can't just get to pick and choose your days and verification. That was, so I haven't read your amendment yet. When did it come through?
I just got it, I think, on Monday and sent
Okay.
it. I mean, and Laura, in the material that was sent out, she did put my amendment in to just a separate document. So it doesn't have all of the other things that we've sort of been working on and worked through,
I
but
got
you
it.
can see where it goes. And, it's no secret. The advocates, made the recommendations to me. They're going to be broader than I think our discussions have been. they, don't think 5 days is enough. I do have a recommendation when we get to that it's, and they want it to be 14. I think it should be, but I think it should be whatever the CDC is saying for the given whatever. But again, I don't want to take up your time today, but if everybody could, Laura, send it around, you can look at it, and then we can have a full discussion on.
I can also just hit the high points.
That's why I was going to have her hit the high points.
Okay, that'd be great.
That's the position what we've already done. And I want everybody to think about it. No need to start hitting your buttons and yelling now. And for those that support it, think about how this is going to work financially as far as how fiscally, the impact it's going to have. We're going to pay for it. I don't need to hear why you don't like it, because I'm pretty sure I know, but we want to make sure that we're able to, do something that's viable either way, and financially, equitable for the individuals and the businesses. So Laura, you want to go ahead and hit us with the high notes?
Yeah, I'm going to share a screen just because most of the changes are on a couple pages, so you can just kind of see for yourselves while we're talking. So can you all see this okay? Yes, okay. So we're going to go to page 16.
16.
So Delegate Dumais' amendment changes the definition of in the bill as introduced was health leave. And so her amendment changes it to be public health emergency paid leave. And then it says that the leave has to be provided on the date that the emergency is declared or proclaimed. Hers, it says that the leave would have to be at least 3 days of bereavement leave. And then the public health emergency paid leave would be in a different amount depending on whether the worker is full or part-time. I think the subcommittee had talked about maybe doing 40 hours across the board. This instead says for full-time workers, it's 112 hours. And then there are a number of different calculations for part-time workers depending on the typical number of hours that the person works. See. So the leave has to be provided regardless of the worker's length of employment, and the leave would have to be what would be allowed to be used for up to 3 weeks after the termination of the emergency. And then right here in subsection D, it lays out the 9 reasons why someone could use the leave. And these are, I believe, the same 9 reasons that were in House Bill 1326, which we've already kind of walked through. And it's my understanding that many of those reasons for using leave sort of track what was allowed under the federal FFCRA, but there are some differences. Here in subsection E, the worker is required to provide notice of the need to take the leave as soon as practicable, but the employer is not allowed to require documentation. I think that's a bit of a departure from what Chair Wilson was discussing regarding documentation, but that's what's in subsection F. Let's see. It does say that a worker would have to inform the employer of the qualifying reason they need to take the leave if informing the employer does not violate a health privacy law. Let's see. There's a records retention requirement. And then these are the construction provisions that were in the bill as introduced, I believe. So that's essentially, the amendments don't make other changes to the draft. It's just specifically about the leave part of the bill.
Okay, so guys, again, we'll just save the comments today. We'll meet again tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have plenty of comments then. Hopefully we'll have more time to discuss. I do want to discuss briefly beyond this edition. We had discussed last time about getting some oversight for the healthcare workers. Madam Vice Chair and Laura, did you guys find anything of value that we could utilize in this bill?
I have not had a chance to follow up on that, but I will.
Don't worry about it.
Our meeting tomorrow, I'll have some information.
This is really Laura's burden, so.
Oh,
No,
thank you. You're so kind.
entirely.
Just playing.
Well, we'll get it.
Yeah, so the follow-up that I did, and I apologize, I didn't follow up with the vice chair about that, but I did get some information about that JACO
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
organization from some of the stakeholders. And I need to reach out, I think, to perhaps the Hospital Association or some of the other health organizations for more information on that. But I did send out to the members some information from the Department of Labor about the existing right to refuse standard. I thought that that was more what we would be
That was
focusing on
helpful.
today.
Right.
It was very helpful. I
Yeah.
just want to, and I guess that right to refusal, the right to refuse standard includes our healthcare workers now.
That's
And
what
in
the
fact,
commissioner said.
right, and to my knowledge, no matter what we hear from JACO, it's not going to be in contradictory to that right of refusal. So it may be that's what we just adopt, in part or in whole. And I would like to know a little information because
Yeah.
almost just a safeguard, because we don't want to stop any of these mechanisms from moving. And I know that, Seth was giving the example of grocery stores, but I do believe our healthcare industry, obviously, we need to make sure that's kept moving,
Well, and quite frankly, CT, that standard was developed outside of a pandemic.
Mhm.
Know that is because the last pandemic we had was in 1918.
Without a doubt.
I think that they probably took into account some of the stresses on different sectors and industries that this would put on as far as investigations, refusing to come back to work, what that looked like, especially, on a wider scale when you're talking about dozens of employees. So I definitely think we should investigate that further. I appreciate that being in the law already, but I need to take a lot further look at that. And also too, Laura, if I could just pivot for a minute real quick, CT, was that a reprint that you just pulled up on the screen there? And if so, can you send that to everyone?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that is with the materials that I sent out yesterday afternoon, but I will resend it if you'd like. I can send them all just to you, or if everybody needs them again, I can send it to everyone.
Right here,
That's
Seth.
fine. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I probably have it in my email. I just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask Laura a question?
Please.
Okay, Laura, when you talk to OSHA, okay, and find out about the policy that they have now on essential workers, when they refuse, if they, refuse to work law that they have, do they have retaliation against the employee who refused to work when they feel that
Yeah, I don't think so.
unsafe environment? Is that in OSHA's, in their law? That's what I want to know.
What the department sent to us is a provision of state law that has, they were referring to it in the meeting as I think the discrimination provision. And it says an employer or other person may not discharge or otherwise discriminate against an employee on the basis of information gained through participation in group medical coverage. So I'm not exactly sure how that pertains to the right to refuse, but then it says, title does not prevent employer from using medical information that has a direct material and timely relationship to the capacity or fitness of an employee to perform the job, or differs substantially from medical information the employee falsely provides. And then it says an employer or other person may not discharge or otherwise discriminate because the employee files a complaint, brings an action under this title, has testified or will testify, or exercises a right under this title. So it's probably the more broad language there about, exercising rights under the title, and the right to refuse being one of them.
We'll probably adopt some of that language, obviously, into this.
Just cross-reference it or something,
Yeah, I was gonna say just cross-reference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The only thing, I mean, we can do that as, I know cross-referencing, people read the bill like, okay, what the hell does that mean? But yeah, that's fine. Try to make it as direct as possible. So
Okay.
the big issues we're gonna have again are, and I think Seth did bring up a good point, is we want to make sure that what was drafted pre-pandemic can still apply. And that we, which is why we're here. Do we need to add, something more to what OSHA has, now that we know there's, the pandemic and the effects? And I would plan, if we can, tomorrow on having a decent conversation about this. Hopefully we'll be able to start making some decisions. I know the sick leave is going to be the difficult one. We'll probably save that to last until we got this
Yeah, I think so, right.
of all these others hammered down. And for all those listening, the sick leave is not the 5 is not the floor. 0 is still the floor. Okay. We're not doing that. I hate that. There's nothing that drives me crazy when you put an offer out there and that becomes a low point. I'm like, no, we're still, that's still a wide open issue to discuss and negotiate. But I would really like to be able to have something pretty firm by tomorrow. If we, Laura, is there anything else that you need to do before we settle in tomorrow, or no?
No, I don't think so. I may try to make some changes to the reprint that I sent out last week on Wednesday based on some of the discussions, just so you can see approaches potentially like referencing the existing statute for right to refuse. And then that would be, I guess, just for discussion purposes. But beyond that, I don't know if I need any more information. It's just kind of making policy decisions for you all.
And before I get to Delegate Queen, does it make a difference if we reference or quote? As far as, is there an expediency issue, or if we reference, because like, that other, when we're talking about retaliation, they were basically saying they were referencing themselves. So if we reference them referencing themselves, is there going to be any confusion? Because they're talking about this title.
Yeah. I'll have to look a little more closely at how the best, the clearest way of doing it.
Yeah, because I want this title to also be, I want it to be in this title too. And I don't want there to be any discussion.
Yeah. I mean, something I was also wondering is, and I know that there are counter arguments to this, but the sort of the heart of the right to refuse requirements are in regulation right now. The department sent that out to us. And so I'm wondering if there may be benefit to codifying it in here, or but I know that is not always preferable because it doesn't give them necessarily the flexibility, but this is apparently pretty close to the right to refuse under federal law, under OSHA. So maybe it's a fairly well settled law and it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point to bring out. So and again, I would like to just, hopefully we can meet tomorrow after committee and really hammer this out. Okay. So make sure you've read all the amendments, make sure you've read the vice chair's amendment. I think, Laura, just send out whatever you need to, and we'll be caught up hopefully by tomorrow, and we can really get some dent put in this. And guys, I don't know how many people haven't registered for their training, but I think there's one on Thursday, and then the last one's on Saturday. And Delegate Queen, I didn't forget about you. It just looks like I did.
That's okay. You ready for me?
Please.
Okay. Quick now, because some of the stuff that Laura said, but I did get some emails that I forwarded to Laura as well as
Thank you.
That talked to some right to refuse amendments that point to some of the federal and state standards. So I just that was looked at. So thank you very much.
And thank you very much. So again, guys, don't forget, we've got training. It's mandatory, 2 hours. You have to show your face. Thursday and Saturday, I think, are the last days. I'm not sure what the punishment is, but I'm sure it's severe.
Well, mine was scheduled for today. Mine was scheduled for today between 3 to 5, and so you happened. So
yeah, I know. Thank you.
I know, me too. I was supposed to be today too, but I moved it.
Guys, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, that's why I would. There's another day on Thursday, and hopefully we can get your work done tomorrow. And if everybody was scheduled for Thursday, we'll leave Thursday open. We won't do it on Thursday, okay? So that way, I'm trying to give
maybe you should all just proactively schedule for Saturday.
No.
Hold the bill.
Look, it's not as bad as you think.
No, not at all. I'm not worried about that.
I had mine yesterday. In fact,
we only have 2 active Republicans and a sleepy one, so I think we can bully through this, in short order. So, but I really appreciate everybody, meeting. Like I said, make this brief. Enjoy the rest of your quote unquote day off, and we'll see everybody tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, which is after committee.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks. See you guys. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.